Hello and welcome back to Nerd News Today Toy Fair 2021. And we're now joined by two of my favorite people in the art world, in the art side of making toys. We're now joined by Alterton, all the way in Argentina, and Caesar, who's right now in Virginia. Gentlemen, how's it going today?
How's it going?
Hey, man.
There, folks. What's up?
So you guys I call the dynamic duo in all of my reviews when I do any Diamond products because you guys work so well together. I love all the pieces you've done. We're going to talk about a bunch of my favorites today. But before we jump into that, I got to ask you guys, and I'll start with you, Caesar. What was your favorite toy as a kid growing up?
It was a Justice League. It looked like the Super Friends Hall of Justice building, and I used to play with my Mego figures in it. And of course, my Mego figures were all like from Marvel and DC. So at that point, my Justice League coincided of I think Captain America. I think Superman was in there. I think I had a Hulk, and I think one of my sister's Barbies to play one of the female characters. I think that was one of the things I most played with. But I think I got more fascinated with toys as it became more electronic. I mean, there was so many from my childhood that I loved. The Stretch Armstrong toy was really cool too. But I can't really say if one that I gravitated towards the most. In all honesty, I mean, just to segue into it, I mean, I never thought that years later I would be designing toys. When I first broke into the industry, it was about comics. So yeah, I mean, I just love all toys. I love the whole concept.
Some good choices in there, though. Definitely some good toys. How about you, Alterton? What was your favorite toy as a kid growing up?
I have no doubts at all. Mattel Master of the Universe, He-Man.
Oh my God, he's right. Yeah, I love those.
Forget it. Everything He-Man. I mean, everything Master of the Universe. I mean, the fantasy characters, the mini comics, the filmation, animation. I mean, forget it. He-Man.
All right, so let's talk about you guys' background in art and design, ultimately how you guys got into toys. And I want to start with you, Alterton, because I heard that you actually briefly did orthodontics before you got into toys.
Yes, that's right. I ended up my dentistry career, and then I went into my orthodontics specialization. I don't know, post-grade. I don't know how you say it there. And just when I was missing 1 year out of 3, I was starting working in the collectible biz, and I say, okay, this is not for me. So I quit everything and started a new life doing toys.
How about you, Caesar? When did the light switch change for you to
Take
go
a
into
look
toys? You're
at
doing
me.
comics, right?
Can I be a dentist? Take a look at me. Is this the face of a dentist, for the fucking love of God?
I don't even know what to say to that, folks, but I would not want you pulling my teeth ever.
Sorry.
You can have the stores behind you. I don't want you touching my mouth anywhere near
He
it.
just needed to make his point. Well, when I broke into toys, I was already in comics. I was one of the lead artists on the Vengeance of Vampirella series for a few years. I got my break in '93, and then from there I started freelancing. I started freelancing for Marvel and DC, just basically inking, to be honest. And then I met Digger, the guy who ran Art Asylum, and that was it. I pretty much got hooked on the whole concept of designing toys, and being happy. And then I got stuck. And even after Art Asylum dissolved, I stayed working with Diamond directly afterwards. And but it was a San Diego Con in 1996. That's when I can say I officially started designing toys. It was like right after that, I went to go meet up with Digger at the Brooklyn studio, which was where Art Asylum was at the time. And the first project that I had was a Resident Evil figure, which took me over a week to draw. So I ended up redrawing it like twice before I finally completed the full turnaround. And and then after that, it was like wrestling figures. We did numerous amounts of wrestling figures. But one of the biggest achievements that we've had, and it's a shame that I didn't get to talk to Zach about is the fact that we're all starting to get credit. And I think that's so important. And I think that's something I definitely want to say throughout this. And they don't give credit. Playmates, Mattel. I don't know if is Todd giving credit on his packaging for the artist. I
I
don't
don't
know.
think he is right now.
He isn't either. And he's an artist. Isn't that incredibly disappointing?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things knowing who actually did the
God,
pieces.
shame on you.
You know, if I'm allowed to extend Caesar comments about credits, when you release a piece, no matter what company it is, we're a team working on it. I mean, you get the credit, only the sculptor, it's fake because we are part of a machine. I mean, we have, in our case, in Diamond, we have Chuck who decides what to do. Caesar, who designs the pieces. I sculpted. Then we have the guys at Gentle Giant or Jason Wires, who does the 3D printing. Then Gentle Giant and Jason Wires again doing the Paint Masters. And then you have the China production. I mean, we can do a great piece. We can do a shitty piece. And then we depends of the China production. It's all a team. I mean, it's a back and forward. When I finish a piece, I send to Caesar. Hey man, look what I did. Look, is it like you planning? Is it like you have in your mind when you design it? And we have in most cases Jean Saint-Jean, who is an awesome sculptor.
Oh, yeah, he's amazing. Yeah,
he's great. He's also doing some. He's been art directing all my pieces for Diamond, and we had his input too. I mean, it's a team. It's never, oh, I am the sculptor. Look what I did. No, forget it.
right.
Forget it. It's a team. We are a team.
I think
we
the
have
Master. Yeah, the like thing. It's all of us. Myself, you, Alterton, even Chuck should take credit for his directing. It's like
exactly.
There should be there's plenty of room to give credit. Now, the funny thing is, the one person I also want to commend is Matthew, because you are one of the first people online to actually credit us. Because our friends, the guys that cat that does, and I'm sorry if I'm calling out people, but I'm sorry, my name is Caesar. And I'm always upfront and honest. I was an emperor. I'm not going to stand for no nonsense. So,
Hell Caesar.
So basically, for me, it's like there's another cat who's like more popular than you that gets more subscribers. He talks about Diamond Select stuff, and even though I do appreciate that he's pushing our collectibles, and I think it's awesome, but bro, take a second and recognize that it's just not product. And I think that's the one thing that I enjoyed the most, and the main reason why I got into toys, now that I've gotten my thoughts collated, is that was the passion. To get people to recognize that toys is an art form too.
That's exactly the way I kind of view it. Yeah, like for me, I see these things as literal statues to me. Like I went to art school for illustration, and so my background is that kind of world. And so when I look at your pieces, especially, I'm looking at it with the critical eye for classical art. I'm looking at it like, what are the inspirations? How are the shapes here? What's the direction of the energy, that kind of thing. So I look at it from a very critical eye, and that's because what you guys do is literal art to me, and it should be viewed in that way. It should be treated that way.
Really, because
sorry,
they're literally.
I was checking.
If Michelangelo were living in this time now, he'd be doing collectibles just like I am today. So that's the way that it is. It's like, but unfortunately, we live, especially in this. Especially for America, because outside of this country, the work that Alterton and I do gets more well regarded, or I think at least because like right now, I don't know if you guys notice in the background, some of the illustrations you're seeing back here, like this one right here is a commission that I'm working on from somebody in Germany. So,
awesome.
It's a Jessica
Beautiful.
Jones piece that I'm doing right now. So
Beautiful.
it's. But and I'll notice that here in the States, even in comics, that same situation lies where, for instance, I have yet to see in all the popularity of all the superhero movies one sheet poster done by Alex Ross in a theater.
Mm.
In a theater. I'm not talking about some promotional crap that they throw at us on the side. I'm talking about representing the actual artists. I want to see that. I want to see them recognize the art. And I think that was the thing that got me with Digger at Art Asylum, that San Diego, because he had that same passion. That was what Digger was about. It wasn't even
Yes.
about the toys or anything like that. It was about finally recognizing that this is art. And that's why I got into toys. And that's why I'm still in it today.
And it's funny that you mentioned that poster, if I can, real quick, is because I remember when you might remember this too. When the Justice League film came out, there were all these posters all over the place, and the posters
Mhm.
basically were done in the style of an Alex Ross painting, but they
Mhm.
weren't an Alex Ross painting.
Yes. Hello. I mean, I think disproportionately, most people are under the impression that collectibles are just printed. You know, somebody pushes a button and the collectible pops out. That's why, I enjoy anytime that somebody harps on to say, we want to talk about toys. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the fact that we need to get more credit. I've been working on certain collectibles usually take, well, we'll get into processing, I guess, later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my whole point, guys. I'm all about the credit. I want all artists from whatever field it is that they're doing, whatever it is that they're designing, to get that credit, so that they can say, hey, look, kids, I'm not just sitting here drawing doodles. I'm actually having a purpose. I matter. I guess.
I think about what you're saying about the credits. I mean, if credits are going to be in a package, I think everyone should be credited. From the art director, the designer, the sculptor, the 3D prototyping, and the paint master. I mean, it's just like we were talking recently. It's a team effort. Every piece
Yeah.
is part of a team. No one is better than the other one. I mean, Caesar can give me an awesome design, and I can do a piece of shit. And if I don't have Jean, Saint Jean, Chuck a point of view, or even Caesar point of view, my piece would be a shit. I mean, it's all an effort. I mean, Caesar can do a design, and Chuck can say, "Hey, man, look, take a look." I mean, we are all interconnected. We are links of a chain. So if you want to get credit, if you are going to get credit to someone, it should be all the team.
That's why I'm glad I'm speaking to you guys today as well, because I feel like it's very much an overlooked thing that we don't really get to ever see the people who are behind the figures. We know the company, we know it's a Hasbro, we know it's a Mattel, but we don't know whose hands, or we're basically hand sculpting it, or we're doing it with computer, however they're doing it. We don't know who the creators are. So it's really great to be able to actually chat with you guys and learn a little bit about the process to make all these wonderful collectibles that you do.
Awesome. Thank you.
So let's jump into talking about some of the toys you guys have worked on here. So Caesar, you are typically credited as a designer, and Alterton is typically credited as sculpting the pieces. I know sometimes there's been some changes with that, and you've done the other thing as well. But do you normally work independently from each other when you start a project? Do you know who your partner is? And let's say with Diamond Select, we'll use that as an example. Do you know that you're going to be working with Caesar? Do you then go brainstorm with him, or do you guys work completely separate from each other and then just kind of come together in the end?
Most of the time, honestly, at that point when Chuck assigns the assignment, it's usually up in the air as to who's going to sculpt it. Now, however, I'm trying to think which one it was, or I think there was two of them where I knew that Alterton was going to do it directly after me. And I can't speak on those because those are ones that we've just recently done. But most of the time it's usually up in the air. I can't speak for Alterton, but for me it's usually up in the air. As of most of the time, it's been me and Alterton that have been paired up. From time to time, I've had Rocco Carmela, is it? But I've had Rocco do some stuff, and Alejandro, the other.
Alejandro Pereira, another awesome sculptor.
Tremendísimo. And I'm like, but most of the time it's up in the air for me.
Now, in my case, when I started working with Diamond, the first piece, I got again, because I worked with Diamond back in the Art Asylum days, but when I started to work again a few years ago, the first piece I got was designed by Caesar. It was the Venom. Remember that one with the symbiote coming from the back?
Mm-hmm.
That was the first one. So since then, every time I get a design, I just realize that it's from Caesar. I only did we did together like 50 pieces for Diamond already.
Mm-hmm.
The only ones I have one from Joe Waller, another great designer, and I got one
really
from used to be an art director at DC Direct. We did the Batman, the Miller Batman and Curry.
That's a great piece.
But then all the pieces were designed by Caesar. What I love about Caesar is that he provides that odd view of the statue. That's the design. I mean, the better example is Morbius, the PVC Morbius. I mean, the main point of view is so twisted, so odd, so that it's awesome to be able to follow that design. The Lobo, man. I mean, the design you sent with Lobo, it was sitting right in a third quarter view and the face looking behind the wheel. It was awesome, man. I mean, when you see that design, you said, wow, this is awesome. So Caesar has that touch. Not easy to follow, but great.
I know. I'm a pain in the butt. I know.
Now it's awesome. I love to work with this kind of point of view, not the usual hero doing. No. Caesar does something like this.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Morbius because that's like one of my absolute favorite pieces, and I think that's another piece that is just absolutely overlooked by people because it's a character that's not the most popular, but I think the design of that piece was gorgeous. Like what you did with that, and the sculpting, of course, was brilliant to match it. But yeah, let's actually talk about that specific piece right now. Caesar, can you kind of walk us through the design process for what you did for Morbius, and then we'll jump into Alterton and how you handle that with the sculpting process.
Normally, the first thing that I do is an extensive search online to look for any collectibles that already exist of that particular character. Because I obviously don't want to copy someone's design. And trust me, artists tend to think alike. You'll be surprised. I'll be drawing something here and someone else would have thought about it already. So it's important. That's happened, where I've actually drawn something and turned it in and it's like, wait a minute, this looks like something else. And I had never seen it, but it existed. So I had to change the design. So that's the first thing that I do. Then after that, it's looking for reference. Basically, I usually try to find an artist that I felt handled the character the best. I started looking at bat reference because once I started to think about the idea, I was like, I wanted to stick a bat in there somewhere. And then eventually, I was really dying last night trying to look for the original roughs of the Mobius stuff that I had sent Chuck before he picked that one. Because normally it's about 3 or 4 different roughs that I do. And then Chuck picks the one that he feels is the strongest. And then from there, I take it to final. I have one of him in flight, something else, but either which way, the one that he gravitated towards was the one where he was on a gargoyle type statue. And then from there, I kind of like changed the gargoyle to a bat, and the trick was because I was trying to get it so that it looked like he was about to leap off or just land. It's that Frank Frazetta type thing. So basically for me, that's the point of the collectible that I'm trying to reach, that one moment. And then from there, it explodes or whatever, Yeah, but that's basically it. It's just the reference, roughs. First, the first most important thing is make sure nobody has the same idea. The second is the reference and then the roughs. And then from there, Chuck gives the approval and then I take it to final. I really, really enjoyed how that piece came out. And then well, I'll let Alterton take it from here because what he did after that was just complete magic.
Yeah, I'd like to just throw my comments in on that too, because I had a lot of great things to say about that piece. I'm glad you mentioned the Frazetta influence. 'Cause that's very, very apparent in this. And then Altertone, you got your hands on this piece, literally in this case. I love the way you treated the statue too, because Morbius, he's a vampire, so you're probably thinking a lot of like sharp right angles, but there's a lot of roundness to him. There's a lot of curvature in this piece, and a lot of dynamism in the pose, which is also partly thanks to Caesar's design. But in this case, this is an angular character, but one that you also kept kind of very round and an interesting shape, interesting form to make that energy work for that piece.
Yeah, everything you mentioned comes from Caesar designs. When I get a design, I try to follow as it is. I mean, as we mentioned earlier, this is a team effort. So Caesar has thought about it. Chuck has thought about it. Both decide that this is the way to do it, and I go and get my hands into do that. I mean, I try to keep. I mean, once I get Caesar designs, I also look for a lot of reference just to get an idea of what the design was looking for, right? Also check a lot of my colleagues' works just to steal for ideas. So, but mostly I try to replicate the 2D designs into a 3D piece. And talking about team effort, I remember when I finished that that model, Chuck approved it, Marvel approved it, Machine approved it, and Chuck sent it to Jason Wires. Jason Wires did the 3D prototyping and the paint master. And Jason sent an email to Chuck and to me. Hey man, take a look at Caesar designs and take a look to the comic. Morbius doesn't have eyebrows and he has a small beard in the chin. And I honestly forgot it about it. So we have to rework the face just very quick before going to print. I mean, there you have the team effort thing I was talking about. I mean, it was Jack and Caesar doing the designs, then it was me doing the 3D model, Shin and Chuck overseeing it, and finally Jason say, "Hey man, there is a small mistake." Boom, the piece is done. It's about that, man.
Yes, that's an interesting story because I completely forgot that you're right, that there was a and no one caught it until that moment. Yeah,
that's right. Nobody saw it. I mean, and I sent Morbius piece to Caesar when I finished. Hey, Caesar, take a look. Yeah, I did the Morbius.
I didn't even notice that.
Nobody saw that.
Didn't even notice that. Wow. Yeah.
Well, it's a wonderful piece, beautiful piece. Definitely recommend everybody check out a review of that too if you haven't seen it yet. One of my favorites. And another one also I really love that I want to ask you guys about is you did a piece of Thanos, and we're talking the comic book style Thanos.
Awesome.
And I got to ask you guys now because you had him pose. It took me like 10 minutes to figure out I was looking at the statue. It's the Thanos where he's posed like the Dark Knight Returns. Tell me about that one.
Well,
that's Caesar. It's all Caesar.
That one was very interesting. That was very interesting because I think Alterton, bro, you had already created a Thanos, right? You had already created a Thanos. Basically, you had constructed him already, right, in 3D, right? Because Chuck had said
that it was not me. That one. Do you mean the toy?
Well,
I sent that toy to use as reference too.
Okay. Well, he sent me that, and then he was like, "Can you do something with this?" And then I was like, "Okay." So I started playing around. The first thing I did was go online, do the same thing, do the extensive search, look for Thanos sculptures, and then I started going, through the comics, the Infinity Gauntlet, and I don't know how that worked out. That I had literally copied that same pose from Dark Knight Returns, but I hadn't realized it. And that's what I'm telling you, Matt. That's what I'm telling you. It's like, that's how our brains are. We're like, basically, we're collectively sucking whatever references we see, and they go into our heads and they stay there. And then all of a sudden we're drawing it later, and then we're like, oh, I got a great idea. No, I'd absorbed it from somewhere. So yeah, someone else had pointed that the fact that he was in that same crouched pose, I was like, wow, I never thought about that, but yes, he's right. But the one thing I enjoyed the most, which I must have joined Alterton crazy about, was all the skulls on the
Oh
bottom.
God, I love that skull base.
Awesome.
That
I love that concept.
That was another once again another Frazetta, because I was thinking of Frazetta, George Perez when he did a Gauntlet, because the first thing I thought of when Thanos was the chair that he sits on, and there were skulls around it. I remember some of the pages from the Infinity Gauntlet and him just stepping on like all the skulls of people he's just snapped away or whatever. And that was what it became. And I started putting like one skull, and then it became two skulls, and then three skulls, and then four, and then five. And then I added bones and femurs. I think you didn't even put the femurs in, right? You took the femurs out?
I don't think it was a design stuff. When I finished the first base, I had to accommodate it to be able for an easy molding and casting.
One of the art files that I sent you earlier has the original drawing on it, and you'll see like I put femurs in it. It was like I really went out of my way, and I really like the smile. That was Thanos for me. And to be honest, he is the only Thanos outside of because I don't accept the Marvel version of Thanos. That movie version, he just looks like Den from Heavy Metal. Remember?
Yes.
That's a good analogy.
Thanos to whip out a purple penis. It's just like he just looks like Den because he has eyes, and as soon as you take that helmet off of Thanos, he looks like
you cannot take out.
He looks like a purple dick.
You can't.
Yeah. I that is the only Thanos that Diamond has ever produced. Those other ones from the Infinity War, yeah.
It's a great piece. And actually, I want to ask you, Alterton, since you had to sculpt this, are you working digitally, or are you doing this by hand when you had to sculpt that pile of skulls?
No, I have started when I did the first run with Diamond and Art Asylum. I was working in traditional with one of the worst material in the world, because back in the days we didn't have the chance to get so many materials outside the state. So I was using epoxy putty. Oh, fucking horrible. And and then I'm 9 years ago, I started with digital and ZBrush, and man, it's magic. I mean, it's magic. Just consider when I was doing a piece in traditional, it took me a month, 2 months to work. And when doing piece digitally, I have done pieces in 3 days. A full piece in 3 days. Usually a piece for Diamond took a week, 10 days to be able to finish, without coming and forward with my art directors and without the final Marvel voice. I mean, you finish the piece, you send to Marvel or DC or whoever, and they come back saying it's approved. No, you need to change this, you need to change that. But most of the times it's goes straightforward. It's awesome. About that Thanos, I mean, it was I think the same as Caesar. That is Thanos. I mean, the Infinite Gauntlet is the Thanos for me. And when I saw that designs, two things came up into my head. First one, how the hell I'm gonna be able to do this massive body crouching this way without it was well.
It looked like it's gonna topple over.
I mean, how the hell I'm gonna do this? I mean, it was like he's gonna be crossing all over the muscle and everything. It's gonna be a pain. And the other thing was, wow, Caesar got the Infinite Gauntlet spirit all over this design. It was like when I saw the design, it was like this is a cover from the Infinite Gauntlet.
Yeah,
awesome. I mean, I saw that design, and it was a cover, man. I just picture a cover drawn by George Perez. I mean, awesome. It was an awesome design. Again, I cursed Caesar because of the design. I mean, how the hell I'm gonna do this shit? Came out great. I mean, it came out great. I love it. I really love that design.
And another side note, not to cut you off, but that Thanos was the first time that I had gotten credit on the packaging from Diamond.
Oh, wow.
Was that Thanos? That was
Also,
yeah. I mean, it couldn't have happened for a better collectible. I mean, it really, I mean, it really stands out. I mean, and it really works. I mean, when you turn it around from every angle, it just, yeah, it's definitely, when you mentioned that you were going to talk about that, I was like, yeah, that's definitely. Joking aside, I mean, obviously all the other ones that we've done for Thanos are amazing, but for Thanos, for me, what he signifies was that George Perez Infinity Gauntlet. That's when I imagine, that's how I see Thanos. Even though Thanos wasn't created by George, it was created by Jim Starlin. But George was the one that I, you know, when I think of Thanos, I think of George. I don't think of Jim, and it's a shame because it should be Jim Starlin, but it's not. It's actually George that I think of.
That Infinity Gauntlet run is awesome. It's awesome. Everything from the Infinite Gauntlet is awesome.
Even and I no disrespect to Ron Lim because he's a great artist too, but he's obviously wasn't the stronger of the two. And even though he finished off the series, it was still a really strong series. But wow, I mean, yeah, that Perez stuff was just great, man. I mean, just great. Yeah. So that's like I said, that's the other thing that I've most enjoyed is the amalgam of different styles I can get to play with as I design each collectible. One of the things that I most enjoy is changing my style up depending on the particular collectible I'm designing. I've designed collectibles based on Bruce Timm's run on the Batman series, and I had to draw exactly like Bruce Timm. And they look exactly like Bruce Timm. You know, I've done Perez, I've done John Byrne, Jack Kirby, and I nailed their styles each time that I do the design. Like I go out of my way to copy their styles just to put that into the work so that people know that that is the guy that I was going for at that moment. Yeah, so, so there you go. I was trying to think if there was something else, but that about covers it. I mean, but that Thanos was definitely it was a great piece. It was a great piece. So yeah, that was a really good figure. And if people haven't gotten it, go out there and get it today because it's only $50. You can get it on Amazon. Let's go. Hurry up.
Totally. It is an iconic Thanos piece, guys. Got to have that one.
Yeah, gotta have.
I got to tell you guys, my number one piece last year of Diamond, of all the things I looked at, was the armored Batman from Dark Knight Metal. That was my number one piece, absolutely, of anything done last year. Amazing work. If you folks out there who watch this haven't seen it, there's a link, of course, you can watch the review of it. I was going nuts over it. I mean, the design is brilliant. The sculpting was just out of this world. I couldn't believe how that thing came together. Actually, I want to throw this one, Alterton, to you first, because, I think a lot of that came down to how texturally interesting it was as well. So talk to me about sculpting a piece like that, because that is very interesting piece.
That was an awesome piece to work with. I mean, I'm, as you can see, medieval freak, right? So to be able to work in a Batman is one of my favorite characters, even though I am a Superman fan. But so and be able to do Batman with armor, with a medieval look, and it was so awesome, and it was really, I mean, it was Batman in armor. Awesome, a knight, the Batman knight. Awesome. It was a great piece to work with. Great piece. I love the idea, the concept. I mean, when Caesar sent me the design, I took a look to the comic books to realize what I was doing, and it was an awesome piece to work with. I mean, it was fun from the start to finish.
Caesar, what do you remember about designing that piece?
That for me, the first person I got to credit is Capullo. Greg Capullo, man. That run, that dark metal run. But Greg Capullo's run was definitely the influence on that one. Trying to, making sure that I could, because he has so much impact in his panels. And I wanted to that was another one that I was trying to coincide because there was another piece, I don't know if you saw that one, where it's basically the same scene where they're both fighting that tentacle thing, whatever it is in the panels. So I maneuvered it between two sculptures. And if you look at them and pay attention, those two sculptures, even though they're not supposed to, they work together. So but you have to look for it. It's the Wonder Woman where she's running with her shield and there's a tentacle that she's chopping. That was exactly from that same scene. So it was just trying to capture that one particular moment. I forget which issue it was of the Metal Run, but and then, I mean, Batman for me is my all-time favorite character. He was my first.
Superman is better.
Well, I mean, just in general, I mean, Batman was the reason why I'm talking to you guys today, because Batman, a Neil Adams comic, was the first Batman I ever seen, and it got me hooked. I said, from this moment on, I wanted to be an artist. So I went out of my way to get to that point, even though just like he worked in dentistry, I worked on Wall Street. Go figure that. I worked on Wall Street for 7 years. But I was very fortunate to know what I wanted to do right from the pretty much at a very early stage in my life. And Batman was the catalyst for it, because it was a Neil Adams comic that I picked up, and I fell in love with the cat's work. Interesting story about meeting up with Neil Adams in maybe another future session. But but for now, from there, you know, Batman's been the jam for me. So anytime that I get to, the fact that I've gotten to design some Batmans, and they've been some iconic Batmans, it's so cool. But as you notice, Batman's presence, it remains in all my pieces, because you pointed it out in Thanos, which I yeah, you're right. So yeah, Batman is definitely a big influence in my life for sure.
And you guys have done a lot of Batman pieces together. I think one of my first Diamond pieces ever was the Dark Knight Returns one. Actually, it was the one with Carrie Kelly and Batman together, which you guys worked on. You also did the Batwoman piece, the Kate Kane Batwoman. That's, again, one of my favorites also I've ever had in my collection. You guys have done so much Batman together. One most recently, in fact, was the Deceased Batman, which I think was also based off of a specific panel too from the Deceased comics, right?
Yes. That is from I forget the artist's name. He's really, really good, man. That was that. I wanted to capture that one moment where Batman becomes a zombie right then and there.
It captures the design captures that moment, man. I got the designs. I went to see the comic book, and the design is right there, man. It's just that moment.
And from the drawing to the sculpting stage, because the funny thing about it is that Chuck tends to, another little inside joke is that sometimes Chuck, like for the armored Batman from that Dark Metal series, that drawing that I gave Chuck, that wasn't my final. I was supposed to take that further, but he gave it to you at a rough stage.
Didn't know that. Even though I have a few examples of what you're talking about too.
He never got back to me, and I completely forgot about it. Yeah, so I'm like, and then I was like, wait a minute, I wasn't done with that piece, and you had already sculpted and everything. I was like, okay, all right. So, but I was going to go back in and, you know, put more detail and add all this math and stuff. But I mean, wow. I mean, it was just, you know, because I had seen there was some anatomy issues here and there, and I'm always like trying to get better with the anatomy, because you know, even if I'm trying to do forced perspective, I'm still trying to make sure that the arm looks right or whatever, and I'll be redrawing stuff. Trust me, I admire guys who are sculptors, because wow, is it a pain in the ass just to get the arm right in this position? Imagine having to think like this.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. So that's where I give you guys credit.
About the Batman disease you mentioned, I think that the original designs from Caesar, Batman has the Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, that's right.
Part of the chest ripped out and in the floor, and you can see the Batman logo inside the Mr. Freeze.
The Freeze suit. Yeah.
And they ask us to change that and to do the straightforward Mr. Freeze outfit. I think that it was a great idea. Too bad they didn't allow us.
That was to do the missing piece from the chest. Yeah, because that was, like I said, that was one of those pieces where I basically sent it into Chuck. I was like, okay, well, what do you think? Because I knew some of the anatomy was still a little skewed on it and stuff like that. So, but I was like, okay. And then he sent it to you. You did it too. So I was like, okay.
It was an awesome concept, but they didn't allow us to do it. We need to change it and to put again the Mr. Freeze outfit.
The main reason of why I put the symbol on the chest was because I was afraid there wasn't enough Batman for DC. Because a lot of times I'll get back, rejected from DC or Marvel because there's not enough of the character in the piece. There's something missing, and so I was hesitant to do the full-on costume, the Mr. Freeze, directly the way it was in the comic. I was like, let me think about it, and it's from an artist whatever point of view, he ripped it off, and he's full zombie, blah blah blah. But I'm glad that they actually, because it works better. I mean, I think it would be kind of cool if we went back on it, if it's that popular a piece, and we go back and maybe we make it an San Diego exclusive, and we maybe pop the chest out.
So Zach, if you're listening right now, that means Caesar's telling you what to do for San Diego. Just giving you a little heads up there. Yeah, it's a great piece. I like it.
That's possible. I mean, that's probably just another mold. It's probably very expensive to do, but it might be kind of cool. But
I think it'd be cool. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that deceased. That once again, another iconic moment in Batman's saga that I've gotten to capture as a collectible.
And we didn't even talk about the Bat Who Laughs. That's another great piece you guys did. And there's so many awesome Batman pieces you guys have done together. There's one recently that came out that you worked on together. And I know also recently, Alterton, you just did a Superman statue that you designed and sculpted. And you're a big Superman fan, right? Can you tell us about that piece?
Yeah, I really love Superman. I mean, he's the ultimate hero for me. But when I'm waiting for approvals or new designs, I like to do my own take on the characters. Honestly, it's harder than when working with designs like the Caesar sent. I mean, it's really much more easy for me to follow a design than think what to do. I mean, I feel more comfortable and more secure following a design than doing my own designs, right? So anyway, but most of the times, I try to do my own take of the characters. And for me, the best Superman is the one from Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
I don't mean to cut you off, Alterton, but
Please.
I have to chime in on the fact that Jose is literally one of the greatest draftsmen in the industry, and he is totally underrated. And
Totally.
he's literally one of the nicest legends I've ever gotten to meet, because John Byrne, not so nice. Neil Adams has his moments. When I first met up with Neil Adams, he told me that I should join sanitation because my stuff is garbage.
He said that to everybody though, so don't feel too bad.
Yeah, I know. But a year or so later at another convention, he saw my work and tried to hire me. But anyway, regardless, but Jose, just the sweetest, most humblest dude who can outdraw pretty much everybody at the con. Like, just, yeah. So I had to chime in on, Jose is literally one of the greatest artists in the industry, period.
Most influential, for sure.
Yeah. So
yes, I mean, a huge fan of Jose. So if I picture in my head the best representation of Superman, it should be Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
Yeah.
So I have the image from the handbooks now. How they call the licensed staff. Jose
the style guide.
The style guides. That's right. The style. I have all the images from the style guides, which are awesome. I mean, from the drawing, the poses, it's the Superman, the JLA, the Batman I grew up, all right?
Yeah.
It's the Super Friends animation. It's there, it's Jose Luis. So I took all the images I had and I said, okay, now how would I portray Superman? I mean, it's Superman, the greatest hero of all time. He needs to be in a proud, I'm gonna kick your ass pose and expression. So I just picture him above the clouds, like with his arm crossed, looking straight to you and saying, are you sure you wanna mess with me? I'm Superman.
Mhm.
Get the fuck out of here. So when I finish the statue, the 3D model, I mean, I did a few 3D renders that look similar to what the statue would look like right after the production, and I sent it to Chuck. So we were talking. Hey, I like it. Let's do a few. Let me send it to Jin to see if we do need to do a few adjustments. We did a few adjustments to the design, and it's out. And I love that piece. I really love that piece.
It's definitely one of my favorites also. I can't wait to actually get my hands on that one. I think it's coming out very soon, right? That one's about to come out.
I think it's gonna. I don't know if Thax already said, but I think it's coming out pretty soon. I can't wait to have my. Even though I have to say this, if you take a look to the promotional pic, it sucks. Don't pay attention to that promotional pic. Take a look to the 3D render I did of it, and if you take a look, do you already have the Batman Defiant piece?
I don't have that in hand, but I've seen the photos of that. Yeah.
Okay, take a look to the promo pic, take a look to the 3D model, and take a look to the fan pics. And the fan pics look, or collector pics look exactly like the 3D model. I've got the Batman Defiant yesterday, the copy. It looks great. So for Superman, take a look to the 3D model, not the promo pics. The promo pics, caca.
That's a good way to put it. Today we've been mostly focused on Diamond Select stuff, but Alterton, I know you're doing some stuff right now with Hollywood Collectibles. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with those guys?
Yes, I've been working with Hollywood Collectibles for a while. They usually do mostly movie and series and TV series stuff, big pieces that they in 1 in 4. And right now, I asked them if they allowed me to talk about the new license. They didn't allow me, so I cannot talk about what we are working right now. But I have shown you 3 previous silhouettes. 2 of them are licensed we already worked with before, and I work with them. I mean, they are pretty obvious with the silhouettes. And the third one is the first time I had to do that sort of animated character that is a pain in the ass to do. I mean, if you do a muscled guy and you put a coat, it's Batman. But if you have to do a well-known animated character, just like that Panther, it's a pain in the ass. I mean, it took me a lot. And I'm a comic book guy. I love to do comic. And when they told me to, hey man, we have this, and I was okay, let's do it. So, I mean, and the first thing I did, I'm a good friend of Tony Cipriano. I mean, Tony is another of my idols, of one of my school population, no? And he used to work with Disney drawing, and he does a lot of animated characters in not only in 3D but also traditional sculpting. And I was, Tony, what the fuck should I do now? I don't know how to do an animated character. I mean, I've been working like 15, 16 years in this beast, and I have to do a panther. Oh, yeah, I mean, so it was quite a challenge, but I think fans of the show will love it. As I think we capture the essence of the character, and it's a 2-piece statue. I don't know if you can see in the silhouette, and I think we captured the concept of the show. I mean, it was great. It was quite a challenge, but it was great. Hollywood Collectibles has been a while working with this stuff, so it's great. I mean, it's just like I was talking to you. I'm not a movie guy. I prefer to work with Caesar designs, but it's quite challenging, and I think we are doing a good job, and I really hope we can show the new license soon, because it's something pretty big, and I also work on it, but I cannot talk to because they are gonna cut my balls.
We'll have to wait for that one.
Yeah.
Caesar, how about
You
yourself?
can edit
Those
that much,
nuggets.
no problem.
And how about you, Caesar? What are you working on these days outside of Diamond?
Just like I had shown you earlier with the commissions, basically most of my stuff outside of this is doing commissions, and I'm slowly but surely trying to take time to develop a creator-owned concept of my own, which is slow. It's going to take a while before that bears any fruit. That, to be honest, is just finding the time to actually sit there and do it. Basically, just commissions outside of the, and I'm actually working with some other cats as well, but not on collectibles, on a design for a fighting game, but with cards. I can't speak more on that, but I did the artwork for it. But yeah, outside of that, it's just, I mean, the one thing that I usually takes up most of my time is the diamond stuff. But in all honesty, COVID has definitely struck a blow to us as well throughout the year, because there's been less work because of the shipping being an issue. And now that that's opened up, there's more work coming in. So we'll see how it goes. But Alterton and I still managed to squeeze out some really nice gems, which unfortunately I still can't speak on yet. But they're really, really good. There's some really nice pieces.
The last two ones are great, man. What a great pieces to work with, man.
Yeah, the one thing I can say is that the ones that we're doing now are definitely, you're definitely going to be pleasant, very happy when you see those, which I'm hoping to be soon. I don't even know. What's the situation with Toy Fair? Are they still going to hold it, or is everything just incubated now?
For 2021, it's canceled. So for this year, it's me and me alone. I'm the only Toy Fair that matters this year. Thank you very much. But 2022, it's supposed to be back on.
All right.
Yeah.
So gentlemen, for folks out there who want to support the arts, want to follow you guys on social media, how can they follow you guys?
I have my Alterton Bizarre Facebook account, my Instagram, and much more. I mean, I don't know. I like to be in my cave.
For me, the only social media that I'm constantly on is Instagram. So if anything, I will, it's Caesar Antomattei at Instagram, or you can reach me on Twitter. I think pretty much if you do a search for Caesar Antomattei, I'll probably show up on Facebook. I'm most of the time on Instagram, just because I follow a lot of women who like to take off their clothes. So yeah, so there you go. That's the one thing for me. Is the funny thing is the biggest thing that I'm known for outside of the comic book industry, I mean outside of the collectibles, is drawing women. That's what I do. Some of the best stuff. And also, have we done any females together? I don't.
Did
Yes,
the Batwoman.
We did. You did the Drowned, right?
And that's right. That's the only one we did.
That's a great piece, also.
That's a great piece too.
Yeah, the concept of the wave and she coming out. It's great. It was awesome to work. That was one piece that was challenging to be able to showcase the design, but it was great to sculpt it. I mean, it has a lot of things. It's awesome. And talking about naked women, let me talk about it. I mean, one of the big great things about working in this business is that if you're working with women, mostly I get males pieces to do, but I was able to do a couple of women. One of the characters I'm most proud of was Dark Child from Randy Quinn. It was a PSC managed by Jerry Macaluso back in the days. I mean, it was one of my first 3D digital works when I made the jump. And I was in my screen looking for reference, right? I mean, Randy Quinn draw awesome women. I mean, I really love Randy's style. They sent me a lot of naked women's, and I was browsing my emails, downloading all the images, and my wife came in. And my wife, I was looking at my wife, I was like, oh, hello, honey. And her eyes were this big, man. What the fuck are you doing? No, look, email. They send me naked women. I have to. That was,
this time it's not my fault.
Since that day, I can watch porno every time. And my wife came. No, my wife, please, darling, it's work. Oh yes, of course. I think that's a great memory, man.
I think we can't top that one, folks. I think that's our wrap up for this interview here. So,
yeah,
Caesar, Alterton, it's been wonderful to chat with you guys.
Close the chapter for sure.
I think we have to hear. So, yeah, guys, it's been wonderful to speak with you guys. I love all the work that you're doing. I look forward to seeing so many more pieces in 2021 and beyond. So, thank you so much for illuminating my audience today about what you guys do.
Awesome.
Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure.
And everybody out there who's watching today, do make sure to follow Caesar and Alterton, and of course, support their work from Diamond Select and everywhere else that they're working on. I'll have some links in the YouTube description for a few of their pieces. I definitely recommend you go head over to Amazon, buy a few. Why not? So until next time, folks, stick around because more Nerd News Today Toy Fair 2021 is coming right up.